Hi, Josh.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, good. Sorry, I was adding all kinds of contacts, so, and I'm not that super, I say that, not super used to Skype yet, so sorry for that a bit.
Oh, not a problem. I just wanted to make sure that you were comfortable and everything before we started.
Yeah, I am. I just have to add 2 more contacts, but it's okay. I'll do that by that time.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. It is an absolute honor to be able to talk to you with being one of my favorite frontmen and vocalists in all of metal, and being able to check out the brand new Asphyx album, Incoming Death, which is coming out later this year. I can not believe that I'm actually being able to talk to you about this fantastic album.
Wow, thank you very much about that. Yeah, well, yeah, cool. I mean, it's the PR round for me, like, shortly after finishing the old album. So, and it's fantastic just to get all the impressions and to talk to all the people worldwide, So, yeah, and I always like doing that. So.
Oh, absolutely. So, what went into the songwriting for the new album?
In what way you mean that?
Well, I mean, like, what did you want to accomplish after the last album?
Well, at least to equal the quality of Death Hammer, and if it was possible to do so, then even top it. But we knew that would be very, very hard, But it was not that we said, okay, we're going to make like a similar kind of album. But just most important is to maintain the typical Asphyx style, and I think we did. It's just that I think on Incoming Death it's a bit well, compared to Death Hammer had a lot of more really fast, straightforward death metal songs, and I think this one has a lot more variety than that.
Yeah, I was definitely going to bring that up too. I mean, especially songs like The Grand Nile. I mean, it really has that great showcase of diversity in the sound of Asphyx.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I've heard that a few times now, and well, those credits for especially music-wise, go completely out to Paul, because when he did the drum tracks for that with Husky, none of us had an idea on what he was exactly going to do and what he had in his brain, for with the melody lines and all the like the second guitar parts and everything, the extra ones. So he all blew us kind of away, with that, and it made it for me actually more easier to visualize the topic that I was thinking of taking on that by that time. So yeah, and we were also not really sure on how people would if people would actually like that, because it's a little bit, well, a bit very tragic, sad kind of melodramatic song for Asphyx standards, but still, it's a very, well, it does very fit into the style, I guess. But yeah, you never know what people think of it, Oh, and I like the last acoustic part as well. So it was just amazing that, to hear that, just the ending of the song.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, it is one of my favorite tracks off the album too. Not just because it's diverse from the rest of the album, but it's just an overall great song.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm sure, especially Paul will be very, very pleased to hear that, because, like I said, for us it was a bit, with that song, we just had no idea if people would like it, yes or no. It was just a bit of a, I'm not going to say like a big sidestep from the usual Asphyx material, but in a way it was, and is, in fact. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased to hear that, and I'm sure the rest of the guys will be too, yeah?
Oh, I'm hopefully so. I mean, just the fact that you guys were able to come out with a new album in 2016 made me very happy, and with all the new material that's on the album, it does have that classic Asphyx sound with that diversity into it as well. I think it's definitely going to end up on a lot of people's best of 2016 lists.
Well, if that would be the case, then well, what can I say? That would be just fantastic. I mean, of course, I'm not sure about that, and I can't say, because probably will be really a shitload of albums coming out still this year, like they do every year now. But that's just wonderful to hear, and I hope. I mean, for now, it's only you people of the press, of course, that have heard the album, and none of the fan base has heard it till now. So for us, it's now, we're just really, really curious on what they will say about it. But on the other hand, I mean, we do like it, and the overall reaction, just like yours, are really that good. And so it makes us really confident also about that our fans are going to love that. Hopefully they do. But of quite sure about it, because if we like what we do, then usually they do it as well.
Yeah, and that's the best way to write music too, is to write the music that you truly do care about and make sure that you want to put the time and effort behind.
Definitely. I mean, what people sometimes forget is that there are still certain bands like us around that are also fans of the genre, you know, and I'm a fan still. I'm a fan since I was like 6 or 7 or 8 years old, from, you know, first hard rock, and then turned into heavy metal when I was 10 or 11, and now I'm like 50 years old, like half a century, and I'm still loving it. You know, I'm still playing the old albums that I used to like back in the days, and I'm still listening to newer bands. So and so with Asphyx, you know, we all have that. Well, not that they all are 50, but yeah, we all have that kind of thing. I mean, we do play the music, and we you know, we play a lot of our favorite bands at home. And so if we are in the band playing for ourselves, then we just know exactly what kind of influences to use and what we like for ourselves. You know, if we all like it together, then it is a good song. Definitely must be a good song.
Oh, very
so that just makes it, that just helps it, you know, just yeah, like being a fan of the genre yourself, and then you know that other people will like it as well. It's just a natural thing.
In speaking of that, with the amazing legacy that you've had with the genre, how have you noticed your influence in bands that have come out since you first started?
Oh, it's hard to tell, you know. I mean, it does. I do meet a lot of youngsters, you know, like younger bands, like, well, for example, from the USA is, you know, Skeletal Remains, and I do like that, especially, yeah, the vocalist, you know, he reminds me of myself when I was a kid, and there's not many vocalists who sound that way nowadays. Remarkable, actually. And, yeah, they come up to you and say, like, that you are an influencer, that you did it, and yeah, everything they do is, yeah, yeah, we influence in a way, you know, may that be in my days of Pestilence or with Asphyx, or maybe even both, I don't know, of which I didn't do with album, but yeah, it's just really a pleasure to hear. I mean, it would be the same basically if I would have said things like that to, well, let's just say a person like Lemmy, rest in peace, but who was a big influence of myself, you know. So that yeah, that's just a pleasure to hear. There's really a lot of young bands, you know, nowadays from Germany or Sweden, well, Scandinavia in general, or all over the world. And it's just really nice to hear, of course.
And with that, with being able to do this genre for as long as you have, is it much of a challenge for you to still be able to pull it off vocally?
Yeah. That's not a problem at all. No, it's I mean, I realized, yeah, when we did, what was it, 10 days of South America, that yeah, in fact, it did affect it a little bit, but that was also due to that we had to fly all the time, you know, and yeah, the specific air and you know, the air refreshment system in the planes is not very optimal for like vocalists. I think any vocalist, you know, or every kind of genre will have a problem with that. But normally, I mean, I train and yeah, you know, just like somebody that trains for you know, for yeah, like who's a sportsman or something. And if you don't do that, you just don't keep in shape. So I just keep it in shape all the time, and that works. And yeah, as you can hear on the album, I'm not losing anything, you know. And yeah, of course, I'm really blessed with that. I mean, probably others, yeah, they may lose it or something. I mean, for example, if you look like a guy like John Tardy, he's still in bloody good shape as well. You know, he maintains it too. And I'm sure that he's doing his training also, because you need to do that. If you don't, then yeah, I think you just can't go on stage if you haven't, whatever. You know, just practice or something for like half a year, you know, just to mention the kind of time period.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you touch on a lot of great aspects there, especially travel, because you never know how the climate's gonna really affect your voice until you're into a different climate than you're used to. And when you're traveling South America like that, I imagine with the atmosphere and the sea level that you're above, it does have some kind of impact on your voice, but like you said, you're able to train your voice and you keep it in shape, which you can absolutely hear on the new album, which I gotta say is one of your best vocal performances possibly ever, I gotta say, this time around.
Thanks a lot of that. Yeah, I'm really, really pleased to hear that. Or maybe that's also due to well, like for the first time in all these times, I used a different, well, not a technique for my voice, but a different technique of singing it in. And in fact, it was a young engineer like Tom Mayer, and he said to me, well, if you want, you can just hold this microphone in your hands. I go, really? Says, yeah. It's of course a different microphone than you use when you're on stage. You know, a lot heavier, and it's a bit clumsy to hold it in your hand. But I said, so there's no problem. There will be no no volume changes. Well, no. He says that this is this specific microphone is for that, and it doesn't matter if you have it like 10 centimeters away from your face or pressed against your lips. It doesn't really matter. So I go like, okay, let's give it a try, and it worked out really nice. I mean, I was able to just act and sing. Almost as like I was on stage. So that was really great, and of course that contributes, to your performance, because it makes you feel even better and more comfortable in the studio, more relaxed, and it was nice. I mean, after all these years, still to find out that you can improve yourself by such a simple thing.
I'm glad to hear that too, and when you say that, it definitely makes a lot of sense, because the more that I've gotten to listen to the album in the last few days since I received the album, I do kind of notice that live aspect to it, and being able to feel that way in the studio, being able to hold the mic just like you would live. I mean, I think it definitely contributed to that. Yeah,
thanks. Yeah, so did I. So do I. I mean, and the cool thing is that normally I would have, I always have at least one band member as a kind of a second opinion, next to the engineer that's there. Next to my own. I mean, it's not that I don't trust myself, but it's always it's always good to have someone's other opinion, or maybe, being on top of it. And this time, normally I would pick Paul because he's a guitar player, but he was a bit on distance. I did go by train, and he was really busy. And Alwyn is living really close by, so Alwyn this time did it, and he did a fantastic job too. Like a kind of an addition. Like, okay, Martin, maybe you can just try this out better. And he said to me too, like, I think this is your best vocal effort ever. So, it's weird for me, because sometimes I hardly compare albums. Like, if I finish one, I'm not going to compare it to the other one. I really don't. I mean, the other one is just a chapter that I left behind. I'm just focusing on, okay, how does it sound now? And the more I hear it, in fact, the more I like it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that this is one of your best vocal performances ever. And I think a lot of that has to do with just being able to feel more comfortable in the studio, just like you were talking about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if you just feel really comfortable somewhere, then you always perform better. I mean, it's if I would go to a studio where I don't know people, or a studio that has this, there are studios probably that have atmospheres that you just don't like. And this one, it was really close by home, it's only 10 minutes away from me. So you do your thing and you can just relax, go home, and not like in the old days. Yeah, we had to stay like 3 weeks in the studio, and that was just, that in the end, there's a kind of a tension, and then everybody gets a bit tensed. And this way it's just really a lot better. That's by the way a really good thing about the evolving techniques for recording and electronically, basically all these kind of things. So that is of influence in a positive way, really. Yeah.
Oh, very much so. So you were talking about how when you record, you like to have another member of the band for a second opinion. This time around, was there any major opinion changes that happened that affected the album, where they had an idea and that came through in the album?
No, not really. The only thing is that that was a bit of a thing. They wanted me to sing a part longer on Death the Only Immortal with the bass line, so you've got this you've got the intro of the song, and then the guitar kind of fades a bit out, and then it's only bass and drum and bass that you can hear. And they wanted me to sing only on the bass and the drums, of which I did, and I also wrote the lyrics to that. But then I thought I don't have to sing on as soon as the melody comes in. So I finished everything, and then Paul heard it, from a distance, and he said, like, well, actually, I wanted you to sing too on that first melody part. I go, fuck, So what do you want me to do now? Because it's really hard to extra put in words there. I really have to find something. It's not going to be easy. So, but I said, okay, I'm going to try. And then I made another appointment with Tom, and I edited. I was able to. So guys were pleased with that. But for me, it was a bit like, I thought I was done. And then you have like, what was it, 4 more lines to go. And the worst is if you finish lyrics, and especially that kind of intro, I only say like names of female manifestations of death throughout every kind of culture or religion that exists and has existed. So it was not really easy for me to find those extra names, you know. So that took me a few hours to, you know, start digging again and finding something. But yeah, you know, in a way, I mean, they were right, of course. It would have been weird if, in the end, it was better. It was an improvement.
Well, I'm glad to hear that too, because it is the perfect album closer for the album, and just the way that it's approached, and just like you were talking about with those melodies that are going on, adding that just a little bit more to it vocally just made it even more better.
Okay, thanks a lot then. I mean, that's just those are the credits of the boys, right?
Yeah.
And that's well, that's indeed exactly why we do have. When I always want someone to you know, to have like a second opinion. Of course, Alvin wasn't sure either, and when I heard it in the studio. Yeah, then I said to Alvin, I was really like pissed, you know, because you're focused and you're in the middle of you know, finishing it all, and then he says, well, I think Paul wants to do it some extra. I go, fucking hell, you know, couldn't you told that blah 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 a week before? And so yeah, it's good to hear. But I mean, I always use you know, I think for Death Hammer it was you know, I used to have always Bob with me because he knows my voice for such a long time, and there was a point at Death Hammer where he said, okay, now I think for this first vocal session that yeah, you lose power, so I think we call it a day. You know, it's better for you to quit and start, you know, and do it back tomorrow. But somebody else hears that faster than I do, so it's always good to have like an extra one.
Oh, indeed. So you were talking a little bit about how the final track, Death the Only Immortal, you had to find more lyrics for in the studio. How did you approach the rest of the lyrics for the album?
Well, basically what I did is, what I do lately, well, last couple of years, is that I always first let the music get into me. You know, I listen to the song and then I try to feel like, okay, what kind of subject does fit with this song? And from there I started, you know, so I write something quickly down, like, okay, you know, here's a topic. Or I just have an idea for a song title and I write it down. And yeah, then I, you know, as soon as an album is ready, then I start writing. And I prefer to write when all the songs are done, you know, by the boys. Because then I have no, yeah, for example, suppose I start writing a lyric and then later on they come with a song of which I think, okay, it fits even better to the other one, you know. So if I have all the songs together, it's for me easier to write and make the overview in total. And of course with Asphyx, then there's just this kind of mix of, yeah, you know, that I always do on every album. It's some topics have like this gore, horror, humorous, or you know, sarcastic kind of theme, and others have war, the others have science fiction, and there's a natural catastrophe, or just, you know, like things that happen in reality, like terrible things. And that's just, yeah, what I always use. But it's just really, sometimes it's just really hard because, you know, I've done that now for so many years and try to be original, not copy yourself, you know. And for me, the main thing first is always also to come up with some, you know, at least some original subtitles and not, well, as I always say, the number 357 song title called Sacrifice or something ridiculous like that, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I've always appreciated about, no matter the project that you've been a part of, you've always been able to create such amazing lyrics and titles that really do stand out.
Thanks a lot for that. I mean, it's especially from, I mean, you're a native English speaker and I'm Dutch, you know, so it's not my own language. So yeah, thank you very much for that compliment. I give it my best, you know, and I really put a lot of time and a really big effort into it to try and do that. And so, yeah, this pleases me really a lot to hear. Thanks, Josh.
Oh, not a problem. And I mean that, too, because it means even that much more coming from me because of what you just said about having not English be your native tongue. So when you are able to not come up with just, like you said, the 357th song called Sacrifice or something of the death or something like that, you know, it's like you're able to reach out and come up with more interesting titles that's out there, and it makes it that much more intriguing for someone like me.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, well, it's just great to hear. I mean, yeah, as I said, you know, I just try and give it my best, and also said always to the boys, like for this one, for example, they were already, they started already mixing with Dan when I had not even the lyrics done. So sometimes I got like, okay, when do you think you're done? I said, you just leave me alone, first, because the more you're going to send me mails and involve me in all kinds of things that are not relevant to writing the lyrics, the more I'm a little bit distracted, So what I do is, I completely lock myself off away from the outside world, and then, then it works. So, it is sometimes really rough and tough to come up with original, but it always pays off in the end, because people like you, that give me kind of compliments, and that's kind of flattering, but it's also a little bit of a reward for all the work that I put into it.
And you should take it as that too. I mean, above all, you're the one that's creating the music, you're creating the lyrics that's going into the product that you want to show the rest of the world. So you got to take pride in what you're doing as well.
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do. And there's many times also when when people come up to me and say, "Oh, you got to listen to this album, you got to listen to this band," and then I take the lyric sheet and I go, like, "This is just complete bollocks," and then I just throw it away. Like, no matter how good their music is, but if the lyrics are complete full of shit, I go, "Sorry, I just can't listen to this because it's just, put a little bit more effort into it." It's just. Yeah, if you want to make like a really good, nice album, then don't think that the music is the only important thing. Of course, it's the first thing that people hear is the music, so it is definitely the most important. But then, I think like you can put a little bit of effort in your lyrics as well. No matter how young you are or whatever. And if you're a kid and you're not let's just say from the United States or from the United Kingdom, like just say from Poland, it's not a problem if you make a few mistakes, here and there. But at least as when as the overall message is a little bit original,
That's quite interesting to me. With you being around as long as you have in this genre, have you noticed that more with the bands that have been around a longer time, or with the newer bands where the lyrics don't seem as fresh and inspired?
Well, there is certain bands where I really don't care. I mean, for lyrics. I mean, that's just. I mean, if they sing all the way of, about like gore and death and all that, and sometimes I can just laugh about it. It's like, okay, it's cool. It's simple chopping heads off, or zombies like consuming intestines or whatever. It's like, okay, this is just the fun part. And others come up with like nice World War II or World War I topics. That's great as well. But if they start screaming like. Fucking worship Satan or something. I go, come on, I've read that with Venom for 30 years ago. Don't do that again. That's just bollocks, really. So that's where I go. Okay, this is. I had it, for example. I mean, the band is of course musically very good, but I don't know exactly which Triptychon it was, or if it was maybe the last Frost album called Monotheist. But then he starts like Satan. It was the first word he was saying on the whole album, and I go. Okay, sorry, I'm not going to listen to it anymore, because I go, come on, you're a grown man, Don't tell me when you're 55 years old that you now go in your home and you draw a pentagram on the floor with some candles around it and worship to the Dark Lord or something. That I just can't. It's just something that I can't. I can't get into my brain. Sorry. Well, sorry, but that's just a small example,
Oh yeah, and that totally makes sense. I mean, especially when you're so divulged into the genre and you get shown all of these bands, whether you check them out yourselves or fans tell you to check out these bands. I mean, I'm sure there's just like an oversaturation of lyrical topics.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm not able, of course, not to check any kinds of lyrics of newer bands that I'm listening to. That would be like a complete overdose, and I'll be busy probably every day, 24 hours, doing so. But yeah, I mean, it's impossible to come up all the time. For that, there's just too many bands and too many different genres also in metal itself, like around. It's probably the same, comparable to hip hop. Like how many bands are there, around like doing gangster rap and only talking about shooting people, dealing drugs, and doing bitches in the ass or something. They repeat themselves also all the time. So, and yeah, of course that's normal in metal, but still, you can, like I said, you can put. I mean, at least when I have the idea that someone did put at least a little bit of effort into it, and I go, okay, that's all right. If it's acceptable, it's acceptable. But some just really are like really horrible. But okay.
Yeah. And just to bring this back around to the brand new Asphyx album, Incoming Death, which is coming out in, I believe it's September 30th, correct? Yeah, September 30th it'll be coming out. And I just gotta say, just like musically, lyrically, vocally, production-wise, and everything, you know, it's just like, I can tell that you guys really took the time to make this the best possible Asphyx album that you can bring out in 2016. And I really do appreciate that, because some people could just slap it together and just call it an album and just get it out there for promotional purposes, but I could tell that you guys really wanted to make this album the best that you could, and I think when people finally get that first taste of the album, whenever the first single drops, I think people are just going to be very shocked at how relevant and amazing that you guys are still coming up with new music in 2016.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I've got not much to add, you know, to what you say. Because for us, it's like, if we do make an album, it's not just like, okay, we have an obligation to make an album. We do make an album because we think we're ready for it, and we think we have the material, you know, to be able to come up with a good album. And that's exactly how. I mean, I think in January we had like basically 7 songs finished. And that's what we thought. Like, okay, maybe we can accomplish this year, you know. So then Century Media, of course, starts to plan that too, and that's when we start working. And this time also, the boys really spend a shitload of time together with Dan Swano to even improve the sound, you know, to make it even better than Death Hammer was, and they achieved in doing so too. So yeah, overall. Yeah, it was not easy, but yeah, we as you say, you know, we really worked hard to try and make it the best Asphyx album, and not yeah, not like, okay, you know, we have to make another one, just put it out on the market and there you go, you know. There's just not. There's too many bands who do that already, and then you get, you know, I mean, even you guys, you're busy enough, you know, to dig through all that material that you have to listen to and and write reviews and do interviews before. That yeah, then when there's bands like, okay, you know, we just do another album, and yeah, it's just absolutely, you know, super fluid on the whole market, really. So yeah, if you make an album, you better make a good one.
Absolutely. So what's next for the band?
Playing a shitload of songs live, and shows, as much shows as we can. We have 2 release shows coming up, one in our home country, Netherlands, close to Paul's place, and one in Germany, in Turok, which is kind of traditional. And there we try to play as much live material from the new album, because we won't have that much opportunities to do so, only with headliner shows. And next year, we already have a few festivals booked, but then you can only play like 50 minutes or an hour. And yeah, for a band like us, with all the repertoire that we have, it's hard to pull that more than put more than 2 or 3 new songs into it. So we really look forward to this these release shows. And then yeah, we have something in the pipeline for we're trying to come over to America for maybe 5 or 6 or 7 shows, you know, because the only time we played was, I think, 2 or 3 times the Maryland, and now I'm going to try to to do a little bit more. So that's and play as much live as we can, promote the album.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, it's if you guys are able to make it back to North America, I would absolutely love to see you guys, since I have not had the pleasure of experiencing yourself live in any project that you've ever been a part of, and being able to see Asphyx in 2017, that would just be amazing to be able to do.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping, you know, we're going to try it. I mean, we're working on it, and yeah, I mean, if we do so, then it will be somewhere around the time of April, and yeah, see where it will take us, and yeah, we look forward to that, because, like I said, we did the South American continent, so yeah, time to do the North American continent as well a little bit, you know. So yeah, it could be really, really cool. I look forward to it if it happens. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, once again, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I feel like I could be able to talk to you for another 6-7 hours, but I know you have other interviews that you got to do today. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview, to be able to promote the brand new Asphyx album, Incoming Death, which comes out September 30th through Century Media. Before we're done, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
Well, yeah, I mean, really thanks a lot to the US fans, you know, for all their support throughout the years. And not just US fans, but also the US press. I mean, everybody has always treated us very, very kind and very great. And yeah, like I said, we really love to come over to North America for a few shows, so that, you know, people are able to, you know, check us out live. And hopefully we'll see you all there. And thanks a lot for the interview, Josh.